The history of the Jewish community in Armenia dates back more than 2,000 years. Historical Armenia. There are historical records that attest the presence of Jews in pagan Armenia, before the spread of Christianity in the region by Saint Gregory the Illuminator. Early medieval Armenian historians, such as Moses Khorenatsi, held that during the conquest of Armenian King Tigranes the Great, brought with him 10,000 Jewish captives to the ancient kingdom of Armenia when he retreated from Judea, because of the Roman attack on Armenia. Tigranes too invaded Syria and probably northern Israel as well. A large Jewish population was settled in Armenia from the 1st century BCE. One city in particular, Varkasavan, became an important commercial center. Thus, Armenia's Jewish community was established. Like the rest of Armenia's population, they suffered the consequences of regional powers trying to divide and conquer the country. By 360 to 370 CE, there was a massive increase in Jewish Hellenistic immigration into Armenia. Many Armenian towns became predominantly Jewish. During this period, after the conquest of Armenia by the Sassanid king Shapur II, he deported thousands of Jewish families from Persian Armenia and resettled them at Isfahan. Jewish families were deported to Armenia and settled in Artashat, Vagasabat, Uvandashat, Saravan, Sarasat, Van, and Nakhichevan. Tournbais holds that the Assyrians deported Jews to Armenia and not to the Kaba Valley. Aslan mentions that the Jews of Samaria were deported to Armenia. In 1996, the remains of a medieval Jewish cemetery from a previously unknown medieval Jewish community were discovered in the village of Yeguigis, in the southern province of Var-Yotzdzor. In 2000, a team from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem excavated the southern side of the Yeguigis River, opposite the village, a Jewish cemetery with 40 gravestones with Hebrew inscriptions dating from 1266 and 1497. Michael Nosanovsky has stated that the word Khawaja is of Persian origin, and it probably indicates that the Jews who settled in Yeguigis came from Persia and kept Persian as their spoken language. Biblical quotations and Talmudic formulas are evidence of a high learning standard in the community. A group of Armenian and Israeli archaeologists and historians excavated the site in 2001 and 2002 and found 64 more tombstones. Some are decorated with motifs of the Orbelian kingdom. The archaeological team also found 3 mills, which the bishop says show that the community had a business because one mill could feed several families. 20 of these tombstones had inscriptions, all in Hebrew except for 2, which were in Aramaic. The oldest dated stone was from 1266 and the latest date was 1336/7. Soviet and modern times. In 1828, the Russo-Persian War came to an end and eastern Armenia was annexed to the Russian Empire with the Treaty of Turkmenchay. Polish and Iranian Jews began arriving, as well as Sabbatarians. Since 1840 they started creating Ashkenazi and Mizrahi communities respectively in Yerevan. Up to 1924, the Sephardic synagogue, Sheikh Mordecai, was a leading institution among the Jewish community. The Russian Jewish communities moved to Armenia in a bigger scale during the Soviet period, looking for an atmosphere of tolerance in the area that was absent in the Russian SSR and Ukrainian SSR. Following the World War II, the Jewish population rose to approximately 5,000. In 1959, the Jewish population peaked in Soviet Armenia at approximately 10,000 people. Another wave of Jewish immigrants arrived in the country between 1965 and 1972, mainly intelligentsia, military, and engineers. These Jews arrived from Russia and Ukraine, attracted to the more liberal society. However, with the dissolution of the Soviet Union, many of them left due to the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. Between 1992 and 1994, more than 6,000 Jews immigrated to Israel because of Armenia's political isolation and economic depression. Today, the country's Jewish population has shrunk to around 750. In 1995, the Chabad House was established in Yerevan. Present day, there are about 300 to 500 Jews presently living in the Republic of Armenia, mainly in the capital Yerevan. They are mostly of Ashkenazi origin and some Mizrahi Georgian Jews. There is a tiny community of Subbotniks whose ancestors converted to Judaism, and who are quickly dwindling. The Jewish community in Yerevan is currently headed by Chief Rabbi Gershon Burstein from the Chabad Lubavitch, and the socio-political matters are run by the Jewish Council of Armenia. Human rights. The president of the Jewish community in Armenia, Rima Varzapetian, has stated on January 23, 2015, that the Jewish community feels itself protected in Armenia, and the authorities respect the rights, culture, and traditions. There is no anti-Semitism in Armenia, and we enjoy good relations with the Armenians. Of course, the community has certain problems that originate from the general situation of the country. As of 2010, a United Nations Human Rights Commission report on human rights practices in Armenia has stated that there have been no reports of anti-Semitic violence in Armenia, although contemporary relations between Israel and Armenia are good. The small group of individuals inside the country who have shown hints of anti-Semitism may have been radicalized due to several factors such as Israel's strategic alliance and sale of weapons to Azerbaijan, the continuing refusal of Israel's leaders to acknowledge the Armenian genocide, and the prior active support given by some Israel lobby groups in the U.S. to Turkey's current position of denying the Armenian genocide and to Azerbaijan's political maneuvers. There have been 2 recorded incidents of vandalism by unknown individuals on the Jewish side of the Joint Tragedies Memorial in Aragast Park, Yerevan, that commemorates both the Armenian genocide and the Holocaust. This monument had replaced a smaller monument that had been defaced and toppled several times. About the damage to the first, Rima Varzapetian stated that there is a certain group of people that is trying to make everyone believe that there is anti-Semitism in Armenia, but that doesn't exist here. On the 23rd of December 2007, the new monument was vandalized. After notifying the local police, Rabbi Gershon Burstein, a Chabad emissary who serves as chief rabbi of the country's Jewish community, said, "I just visited the memorial the other day and everything was fine. This is terrible, as there are excellent relations between Jews and Armenians." A senior advisor to the former Armenian president RaffiKojian denounced the defacement as a provocation, and promised Rabbi Burstein that it would be taken care of forthwith. On October 19, 2010, the Jewish side of the Joint Tragedies Memorial was again vandalized. The city administration removed the signs of vandalism by the next morning, and police launched an investigation. The local Jewish community praised this immediate reaction. National Assembly MP Mkhatich Minassian, who is the leader of the National Assembly's Armenian-Israeli delegation, also condemned the monument vandalism. There will always be 1 or 2 hoodlums in a city of 1 million citizens who commit crimes like that. That is one of the characteristics of our people.